Oh gosh, this looks very precarious. Hi there, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my very first book haul of 2019. Isn't this exciting? I'm super excited. As a matter of fact, last year I made a pledge around January saying that I'm not gonna buy any more books. I have way too many. I'd rather read whatever I have. And then I was doing so well January and February, and then it just all went downhill to the point that when we reached somewhere like August or even maybe July, I completely lost track of everything that I was buying. I was just binge buying books, and that's why I stopped doing hauls at some point last year, because I just couldn't figure out which books I got and when. As a matter of fact, it got so bad that I filmed one of my biggest unboxings in which I lumped together 3 boxes from Procreate, and then I never posted that video. If anyone still cares, let me know, and I might actually edit it. But then I had to lump together some other boxes, like from Scribbler. It was a mess. So today we are doing a haul of the books that I actually got in January, plus a couple of books that I got from those subscription boxes that I never got to open at their appropriate months, and I opened them in January, hence they're in this haul. And I also have one box from Book Outlet because apparently I decided to buy something from Book Outlet recently. Let's just see what I got there. Yeah, I should probably get to books. This is going to be a very eclectic pile because I have such things as manga. For example, this volume number 2 of Fence by C.S. Pacat. It came out in January, but I, as a matter of fact, read it as individual issues from Hoopla October, November, I think, maybe December. So it was at the end of last year, but I got my volume 2 only in January. It came out on January 15. Also, I got myself 2 bind-ups of volume number 1 and 2 and volume number 3 and 4 of Loveless. So Loveless is another manga that I, as a matter of fact, watched as anime ages ago, and I thought it was very cute, and I knew that there was a manga that it was based on, but I never read it, and then I found it in Indigo when I was kind of like on this whole manga thing, because I started reading more manga in December, at the end of 2018 I should say, and I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna get those. It is a BL manga, so just that you're aware, it's not explicit or anything like it, but it's very cute because one of the protagonists has cat ears, and I find it super adorable. So I cannot wait to read it, and hopefully it will be as good as I remember the anime was. And actually 3 other mangas, and one of those, that was the reason why I started this whole manga buying spree, and this was I Hear the Sunspot by Yuki Fumino. This is also BL manga, and that was probably the one of the very few mangas with a very sweet story that was not too crazy upon power balance, or imbalance I should say, in the relationship. And there's actually not much of a relationship here, they're just meeting for the first time. And another thing that attracted me to this manga, I got it from the library first and I read it and I loved it so much that it just blew me away. That thing that I loved about it was that one of the protagonists is deaf, or deaf of hearing I should say, because he's not completely deaf, but he might be going completely deaf by the end of the story. And I find it so fascinating because the depiction of the disabled characters is almost non-existent, I feel like, in manga and anime, because everything has to be perfect there, as you understand. I don't know, at least this is my perception. Please prove me wrong if you know mainstream manga or anime which is not Full Metal Alchemist, that I have never heard of but I know of. I'm just saying, just prove me wrong, let me know. Maybe there are disabled characters in anime and manga, I'm just not aware of them. And this one was just so good and so sweet and so lovely that I had to go on Indigo website and buy my own copy. And I also found out that there is a sequel which is called I Hear the Sunspot Theory of Happiness. And there's also I Hear the Sunspot Limit 1. I don't know why they keep repeating the title before an actual title. I don't know, it makes things extremely confusing. So I have not read those 2 volumes yet, but I'm looking forward to it because this is the continuation of the story, and it was so sweet, and I cannot wait to read it because that manga was 5 stars. Just saying. This is actually not a book, this is a journal. This is an absolutely lovely journal. It's in a hardcover, so I'm trying not to break the spine as I show you. This is called A Year-Long Journal of Magic. It has a bookmark as well. It is purple in color, purple at the back as well. On each page that you open, there is a little prompt for you to write down. It has 365 pages, which is obviously the number of the days in the year, and it should inspire you to make journal entries every single day. This journal was supposed to come out on the same day as Leigh Bardugo's new book, The King of Scars, that is at the end of January. However, this journal shipped almost 2 weeks before, and I ordered it together with The King of Scars, assuming that they will be both shipped at the same time. But no, this time Indigo decided to ship this one early. That is why this journal is in my January haul, and The King of Scars is going to be in February because I received it in February because they were late. We also had very bad weather and some of the Canada Post deliveries were cancelled, so maybe that was the reason, but still, I admit I have way too many journals lying around, but I really wanted to get something which is kind of designed and created by Leigh Bardugo, and I like this idea. I like that it's purple. It's one of my favorite colors, and I just wanted to get it. That's it. I got it. End of story. Next, I have a couple of books that I, as a matter of fact, know nothing about, and that is because I got them in Scribbler subscription box. Unfortunately, I had to cancel my subscription for both Owlcrate and Scribbler as of this year because I realized that I was just not reading the books that they were sending in those boxes, and some of them, especially for Scribbler, were just not my thing. Scribbler includes not only young adult but also adult novels, but I would have loved if they were all sci-fi or fantasy, but unfortunately they're not. They just different across the genres depending on the topic that they choose or the theme that they choose for that particular box, which is totally understandable and it is great because it is a subscription box for writers, so you're given a book that shows that particular skill that they're teaching you in this month. And however, for me, it was just not something that I was particularly keen on. I loved all the merch in the boxes, but I was not very fond of the books. However, this is what we have. I got Hunting Annabelle by Wendy Heard, I guess it's Heard. So this is a thriller, adult thriller. I have heard about this book, but I have not read it and actually have no intention of reading it. I'm gonna either give it to one of my friends at work who might enjoy it better, or I might donate it, but I just wanted to show you that this was one of the books that I got in those boxes. Next, I got The Night Stalker by Robert Brinza, which is a Detective Erica Foster novel. I assume this is one of the ongoing series. Know nothing about. This is an adult mystery story or mystery series. Obviously looks like a very adult cover. It is, as always, as all books from Scribbler, they come with the little plates on which we have signatures from authors, and I do appreciate it. However, I doubted that I'm gonna read this. It is about a female detective, which is great, but I'm not sure this is my type of a story. I don't know, but like I said, I have a couple of people at work who might appreciate this book way more, so I'll give it to them to read. But once again, if you are a fan of a thriller, I do trust into both Lindsay Cummins and Victoria Scott to pick very good books, so you might want to check this one out. One of the books that I was actually very happy to receive in a subscription box, Scribbler, was Jennifer Astor's Kill the Queen, and this is the adult fantasy novel. It just came across my recommendations a couple of times. I don't really know much about it. Something about one of the princesses that was never supposed to be the queen because she was like 17th in the line to the throne, and then there is assassination that happens in the castle and she escapes it basically by the skin of her teeth and joins a troupe of gladiators. That is quite unusual, but I've been quite interested in this book, so I'm very happy that I got it. I've never really heard anyone talk about this book before. If you have read it, or if you know anything about it or about this author, please let me know. I'm just looking forward to reading this one because it came across, like I said, my Goodreads recommendations a couple of times, and I'm really curious about the premise, so I'm looking forward to reading this one. And the last book before I open my book outlet order, because I still have it in the box, I have Amber and Dusk by Lyra Celine. And this is a young adult fantasy novel. I think it is a debut, if I'm not mistaken. And this is an Owl Crate December book of the month. It came with a letter, it came signed, and it is an Owl Crate exclusive cover. I, to be honest, was not really aware of this release. It is obviously a newest release since it's December 2018, so I cannot really tell you much about it. I just know that it is fantasy and that it is young adult. That's pretty much it. If you read this book or if you heard something about this book, please let me know down below. But for now, I'm holding into it because this is a YA fantasy and I would like to read it at some point. But like I said, I decided to cancel my subscriptions because even though I like the idea of getting a new box each month and opening it, especially opening it on camera, it was becoming a bit stressful for me in terms of filming schedule, and I just kept getting books that I either already owned, and that is, I'm looking at You, The Shadow of the Fox, of which I happen to have 3 copies at some point. Go figure. And I was also getting a lot of books that I was not interested in reading, and that is disappointing because you pay a lot of money, not only for the box, but also for the shipping to Canada, and then you just get maybe like a notebook, a candle, a pen, and that's it, and that's just not worth the price. But let's get on to my book outlet order. I'm more excited about it because these are the books that I picked myself, so I kind of know what's inside, but I just didn't have time to open it. Paper, lots of paper, more paper. So the first book that I have here is The Queens of Innislear by Tessa Gretton, and it's actually bigger than I remember it to be. I hope you can see this. This part is deckled instead of this one. It's obviously a mistake at the... Oh man, gosh, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know. This is so weird. So this is a high fantasy adult novel. I don't really know much about it except for there are several daughters that are fighting for the throne, if I'm not mistaken. I've been eyeing this book for a while, and I also heard a couple of people talk about it quite favorably, so I wanted to pick it up, but I was just getting, oh, I'm gonna get it from the library, or it's not the time, or whatever, and then I saw it on sale. I mean, in Canada, it is sold for $34.99 Canadian dollars, and I obviously got it for probably like 3 times cheaper from Book Outlet, so I'm excited about it. But Jesus, what happened to those? Now the cover is fine. Gosh, okay. Well, otherwise, it's more or less in perfect condition. Next, I have another adult fantasy book, and this one by Elizabeth Bear, whom I really enjoy reading. I actually have quite a few of her novels. I have not read all of them, but I did read a couple. She writes high fantasy. She also has written sci-fi, and she has written steampunk, and this one is supposed to be a high fantasy. This is book number 1 in the Lotus Kingdoms series, and this is called The Stone in the Skull. I know nothing about this book except for the fact that the second book is coming out very soon, or maybe it's out already, but I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know why. I just read the description and I find it very interesting. I'm sorry I cannot really tell you much, except for this is one of my favorite authors that I just tend to buy, and I like this cover. I think there is something has to do with dragons and automations, so it might be slightly a bit like steampunk, I'm not sure, or maybe it's just blend of sci-fi and fantasy. If you have read this book, let me know, because I'm excited, and it's not as big as I thought it would be. And it's also by my favorite publisher, Tor. So here I go. Next, I have a YA book, and that is Nemesis by Brendan Reichs. I know that there is a sequel already, out, I believe, and this is book number 1. I want to say in duology. As a matter of fact, I even thought that this was going to be a standalone, but I'm wrong. So this book is about a girl who gets murdered repeatedly and then she wakes up alive again. So this is like a Groundhog Day, but a young adult thriller, I want to say. I also thought that this was more of a fantasy book. I'm very curious to find out, as a matter of fact, because it has to do something with murders and nightmares, and I love this cover. I've been eyeing this cover for a while, so when I finally saw it on Book Outlet, I decided to pick it up because I was like, I'm in the mood for something good right now. So let's get this one. It's actually thicker than I expected it to be. Yeah, it's over 400 pages. I'm surprised, but looking forward to it. Next, I have Honor of the Thieves, which I've been eyeing for a while as well. This is by Rachel Kane and Anne Aguirre. This is a collaboration. This is book number 1, young adult sci-fi. There's just something about a main protagonist running for her life from jail and hopping on a spaceship, and I just love the idea of this. I don't know why. I don't always enjoy YA sci-fi, I enjoy YA fantasy, but last year was pretty good on some sci-fi for me, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that I'm gonna enjoy this one. I admit that I really like the cover, and I've had it on my TBR and on my wish list for a while. So hopefully they will not disappoint. Plus, Rachel Kane and Anna Aguirre, they do have other books out, so I'm just assuming that because they're New York Times bestselling authors, this might be a good book. I'm excited! Next, I have a copy of Sanctuary by Karen Licks, and I found out about this book from one of my fellow bloggers slash people who work in the industry, and she used to work at Simon & Schuster back then, so she said that that was one of her favorite reads at that time, and something that I should look out for. And I put it on my to be read Goodreads shelf and never picked it up from the library and kind of forgot about it. And then I came across it on Book Outlet website. I was like, didn't I want to read this one? I think I did. And then I just put it into my cart and I purchased it. All I know about this book is that it is YA sci-fi. We have a main protagonist who wants to work in a prison, and then she gets caught in a prisoner's riot, and then things just go south from there. This is all I gathered from the book's description. Don't know much about it. I also heard that there is some good representation in this book, and I'm looking forward to reading it, but otherwise I don't really know much. I like the fact that it's a very blue cover though. I like blue, as you know, one of my favorite colors. And the last but definitely not least is Even the Darkest Stars by Heather Fawcett. I was absolutely sure that I already owned this book, and then turns out that I didn't. And I was very confused because this is a fantasy YA, and it has a fox on the cover. Can you see it? Can you see it? Basically, I don't really know much about it, but I was asking in one of my chat groups for recommendations from fellow readers, and this book was mentioned by someone from Germany, and apparently the German cover has a big fox on it, and I was like, oh my god, what is this book? And then she told me that it was Even the Darkest Stars. I was like, what? And I don't have it? How? Why? What? How? Why? And it's supposed to have some representation there as well. Don't know much beyond that, and I think I want to leave it like that. But if you read this book and if you would like to share your opinion on it with me, please do so in the comments below. So here you go, guys. This is it. I'm sorry it was a bit all over the place. I need to get back into the habit of making book hauls, as well as making wrap-ups and making TBR videos, because I'm a bit out of practice. It's been a while since I've done those. And when it comes to the books themselves, I'm fairly happy about everything I got, except for some of those books that were from the Scribble subscription box. Unfortunately, this is something that you kind of have no control over. You get the Scribbler or whatever other subscription box, and the book is always going to be a mystery to you. So that's okay. I'm still gonna either gift or donate those books, but the rest I'm super excited about. As always, I welcome all the comments. Please let me know if you read any of those books. I would love to know your opinions, but no spoilers. I hate those. But that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you very soon. Bye! Wow, how I cannot pronounce the word deaf. Before King of Staccato. Oh, wow. Why is it so hard to talk? Oh god, I need some tea, I think. Why do you have problem pronouncing the King of Scars? Nobody knows. It saved me from the necessity of buying my own copy, which is not true because I actually paid for that scribbly box. Then now I think about it. Did I order all of this? No, it's not the word. What is the word? Once again, I'm sorry about the noise. You know already, this happens all the time. I have my window open. I live in a busy downtown across the hospital, yada yada.